That is not how they thought this one would go, as we welcome you here to Phillies Postgame Live, brought to you by Cure Auto Insurance, Amy Fadul and Ben Davis. And we're thinking Jose Alvarado going to go out there a nice 2-1 victory. Not the case, as they fall in 11 innings. Probably could have used just one more insurance run there, Ben.
Yeah, you're thinking the Phils go out to Colorado, great place to hit, facing a guy with an ERA over 5. They scored 2 runs.
Yeah.
That's baseball. Unfortunately, it had to happen to the Phils tonight. It was a clunker. Phillies pitching was pretty good. I thought Christopher Sanchez threw the ball well, and Kirk Green looked awesome.
Yes.
He looked awesome tonight. Just not able to get it done. Not able, just 1 for 8 with runners in scoring position, 8 left on base. It wasn't a great game offensively, but that's why they play 162 of them. Yeah,
it wasn't there was some sloppy play in this one. You saw they actually got lucky on that one throw from Cody Clemens to Alec Boehm in extra innings. It caromed back off and saved the run. Fortunately, it didn't end up. But we're going to hear from Rob Thomson. But the thing that really you have to think about, in the first inning, Bryce Harper tossed in this one. We're going to hear from Rob Thomson coming up on that, as well as checking with Ruben Amaro. Different game if Bryce Harper's in this one, I would think.
Without a doubt. And as an umpire, you got to realize that you got to have a feel for the game. It wasn't egregious what he was doing. He was just trying to have a conversation. The umpire kept walking away from him. Obviously, Bryce was frustrated, as well he should be. The second pitch of that at bat was definitely down and out of the strike zone. But you got to realize, you got all these fans coming to see. There's the only time, it could have been some of those fans' only opportunity to see Bryce Harper all year. And I guarantee you, there were boatload of people that went to Coors Field tonight to watch Bryce Harper. He gets ejected in the first inning. He's out of the game. And at some point, you got to use some common sense. Mm-hmm. And like I tell my wife all the time, it's amazing how uncommon common sense is these days. But you realize that, you know what, okay, maybe I missed a pitch. He's got a point. He's Bryce Harper. Let's keep him in the ball game. Maybe talk to him and say, hey, dude, I missed it. Sorry. I'll try and get better next time. But he just took it personally and ejected Bryce, unfortunately, out of the ball game. And he's gone for the other 9 innings, or I'm sorry, 10 innings.
I'm saying we had the extra inning. There might not have been those 10 extra innings had Bryce Harper been able to stay in the game. Let's go back out to Coors Field and check in with Ruben Amaro Jr. And Ruben, we're obviously talking about Bryce Harper being ejected, and you saw it there. It didn't look like he was doing too much. The umpires usually eject a player when they're showing him up. Didn't look like he was doing that. And then I thought actually at one point Topper was going to get tossed. Thankfully, he did not either, though.
Yeah, it just seemed like Bryce was ticked, and just having a conversation with the umpire. And you have to be able to converse with the umpire without putting yourself in a position for the umpire to throw you out. I think the umpire made a very poor decision, as Ben said. It didn't look like he was doing anything egregious. What was interesting about when he flipped his helmet down, he did throw it hard, but it hit on the corner of his earpiece, and then it looked like it was like fired because it bounced off and caromed off and went, I guess, went down the line or whatever. So it made it look worse. He got fined for that because he noted that, and then after a few more words, he ends up throwing Bryce out. Just not the right thing to do, in my opinion. And in fact, we've had this umpire a couple of times. He seems to have struggled behind the plate a little bit. But, hey, that's part of the game, too.
Yeah, there was a Friday night game earlier this season. I remember some dicey calls there, Ben.
Definitely some dicey calls. Ruben, a positive spot tonight for the Phillies. Again, continuing to be Edmundo Sosa. I mean, this guy is on fire. 2 for 3 tonight. He's hitting .338 on the season. You a little surprised they pinch hit for him later on in the ball game with Brandon Marsh?
I was very surprised by that. I mean, I don't usually question some of the things that Topper does, but because Sosa's been swinging the bat against righties and lefties pretty darn well, and I was a little surprised that Marshy came in to pinch hit. A little bit difficult to pinch hit, and the team has not had a lot of success pinch hitting. Only Cody Clemens is the only 2 hits, I think, pinch hitting for this ball club, but. A little surprised by that, but Topper hasn't made very many questionable moves, and pretty much everything he's done over the last 2 months, he's been spot on. But Sosa's been outstanding. He really has played great. He's played great defense. Again, played excellent at shortstop, home run, double. I mean, I just love the way he plays the game, and unfortunately, we didn't get a whole lot of hits tonight. I mean, we didn't have a lot of opportunities, and You got to give Ty Block and their bullpen a lot of credit. This is a bullpen that was, the worst in the game, and they ended up, filling it up and throwing a lot of strikes and keeping the Phillies at bay.
Talking about now the Rockies shortstop, and we got to ask you about the Chevrolet player of the game, and it comes from the Rockies, Ezequiel Tovar. He comes through with that game-winning walk-off hit. What'd you see in this at-bat, Ruben?
This kid can really swing the bat. He was on top of the plate. He's looking to pull the ball, especially against left-handers. He stands on top of the plate. He gets a little cutter out over the plate. That was kind of a spinner. But he had 4 knocks, 4 for 6. He was the player of the game, and rightfully so. And he's probably their best athlete on the field right now. McMahon is a pretty darn good hitter, and Elias Diaz is a darn good catcher, all-star caliber catcher. But there's a reason why they signed this guy to a 7-year deal. He's a dynamic player, and I would be surprised if they take him out of that one hole. I know Charlie Blackmon's been the guy that's been in the one hole for a while, but I think this guy's going to be locked in there for a while. He swung the bat extremely well today.
Rube, you're looking at Alec Boehm down to 314 and Bryson Stott down to 258 currently. They're just going through just a little funk right now, correct?
Yeah, actually, I thought Boehm had some really good at bats. He had a line drive to left, a line drive to center field. There's a lot of balls that were hit on the screws, and it's like swings that the guys are just missing. They're having pretty decent at bats. Couple of at bats where Stott got jammed on one of them and just missed a little pop up, but these guys will be fine. They're not going to be able to hit every single night. And some other guys will pick them up. But it is nice to see Castellanos kind of light it up a little bit. He's starting to swing the bat a little bit better, and that's important. They need to sort of pass the baton to the next guy. But again, it was kind of unfortunate that we lost, one of our best hitters, or if not our best hitter, in the middle of the lineup really early in the game.
Yeah, it was a big difference maker. Well, they get 2 more out there in Colorado. We will see you tomorrow night. Ruben, thanks as always.
Thanks, Rube.
We appreciate you.
Got it, guys.
Frustrating night between the ejection and some calls didn't go your way.
Yeah, but that's baseball. You got to turn the page and move on tomorrow. I did think that it was kind of a quick trigger on Harp. I don't think he was cursing him out or anything like that. Kind of spiked his helmet and then just kept talking to him, and I guess he decided to throw him out. So.
Were you told anything about what he did say?
No, because I was pushed out of there, and then I was trying to get Harp out, so I didn't really get a full explanation from the umpire or from Harp. So. But I know that he did tell me that, he wasn't planning on getting thrown out. He wasn't cursing him out.
He seemed surprised that he was, because it wasn't really like a heated discussion
right.
when he was thrown out. Right. So was he surprised by that?
Yeah, very surprised.
Would you say it's fair to say that that was a weird beginning to kind of a weird game overall?
Yeah, I would say so. But I thought we pitched well. I thought Sanchez was really good. Got in trouble in the 5th and got out of it with 1 run. And he got back in trouble in the 6th, and I felt like that was the time to go. And Kirkman did a heck of a job. Hoffman threw the ball well. Alvarado 1 bad pitch. Ruiz was really good, and Soto threw the ball well too. It's just a tough situation.
Alvarado's been quite good. Did you kind of feel like 2 runs here usually doesn't get the job done, but when they're down to their last out, did you kind of feel like you guys were going to get away with 1 there?
Yeah, I felt good about it. Sure. Anytime I got Alvarado on the mound, I feel good about it.
You said something when you first came in, that's baseball. Do you think that kind of describes how, a lineup like yours comes in, it's obviously Coors Field, but then just 2 runs on opening day?
Yeah, 2 home runs. We did have some opportunities, and we hit some balls hard. We really did, right at people, and they made some good plays on defense, but we hit some balls hard, so we just came up a little short.
Was it encouraging to see Sanchez kind of maintain the velocity from last weekend?
Yeah.
98, but he averaged 95
Yeah,
plus.
he was really good. Changeup was good. I don't think the elevation affected the changeup like we were talking about before the game.
And then Kerkering, I think it was only the 2nd time in his career he's come in with guys on base. Is that kind of one of the next steps in his development?
Sure, I have a lot of confidence in him coming in and getting out of situations like that because he doesn't. He maintains his poise, slow heartbeat.
Were Were you happy to see how many fastballs he threw?
Yeah.
Tonight? I actually think he threw more fastballs than sweepers, which is like not
Yeah.
like him.
It was effective. They were just pounding it in the ground, you know. Should have turned double play, but the ball slipped out of Clement's hand. But, yeah.
You had that one spot, I think it was either the 6th or 7th inning, where Pache came up were you kind of like saving Marsh for later in the game at that point?
Yeah, so one is we have the lead. Two, there's 2 out. So the chances of base hit. So it's a completely different situation in the 10th inning when he's leading off with runner at second base. So you know, I didn't want to waste him in that spot. And then, you know, I can pick another spot to use him, especially when we got the lead.
Rob, on that check swing by JT in the 10th, was it was kind of a late appeal, and then there was kind of the questionable call you guys obviously didn't like. Was it both of those things? Was it just the call? Was it the lateness of the appeal, all of it?
Well, yeah, it was a little bit late, but it didn't bother me as much as I didn't think he swung sure. And then changed his entire bat.
He has to be allowed to stay in the game there.
Yeah, it's interesting. He's having that secondary conversation with the other ump after, you know, the ump tosses him. What is that conversation like? It's just trying to explain his case?
Yeah, he's just trying to plead his case. It's not going to help him. But in the long run, it's, hey, you got to talk to this guy because
Right.
this can't happen.
Yeah.
He's a younger guy, and it can't happen. But it did, unfortunately. It'd be different if he got in his face. And I know you can't argue balls and strikes, but it'd be different if he got in his face and he made it so that everyone in the 35,007 people that came to Coors Field tonight, if all those people saw him get in the umpire's face and show him up professionally, that's a different story. Bryce Harper stood in batter's box, taking off his batting gloves. Yes, he spiked his helmet. He was frustrated. Every right to be. But just taking his batting gloves off, having a conversation, and he gets tossed. So
Pretty quickly.
it just, you don't like to see it.
No, it affected the game, especially in a game that they lost in 11 innings. Here is Bryce Harper in the clubhouse.
It seemed like you were pretty surprised that happened. I mean, did you feel like that was quick? Did you say anything that you thought might have resulted in that?
No, I mean, I wasn't really that upset. I mean, obviously, I spiked my helmet, but that wasn't frustration from the call. And then I just kind of asked him, hey, I don't believe that was a strike, but where do you have it? Just so I know. And he kind of just was like, eh. And then I was just like, no, like, where do you have it? Like, that's all I just want to know where you had it. And he threw me out, and then I just told him I just wanted to have a conversation with you. Again, didn't cuss, didn't scream or anything really. And then Vic came over, said what he had to say, and that's kind of it. I mean, I'm not trying to get thrown out in the first inning in Colorado, obviously. So it's a bummer, man. You know, it could have, I don't know, I could have doubled in the gap or a homer, and you know, the game's changed, right? But I don't know, just kind of bummed that it even happened because it just I don't feel like it should have. So.
Are you usually able to have a conversation like that with an umpire without him reacting that way?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like John Tampain, Alan Porter, Pat Hoberg, even Vic at first or at second tonight. You know, there's professionals in this league, and there's guys that are really good at their job and they understand it. I guess 120, they didn't understand it. So it is what it is. But just bummed out we lost that game. And like I said, it could have been something different, you know, if I'm in the lineup. Maybe not, but you just never know.
Did you say that the helmet spike wasn't about the call, or was I can make it?
No. I just wanted a slider in the dirt and just frustrated
So
with
that
that.
was what that was.
Yeah.
Does it kind of help its feeling about having to watch an entire game like that?
100%, because you're not part of the game. I didn't even feel like it kind of happened. Like I was kind of in here just sitting, and I was like, man, I feel like I should be out there. Obviously, when I scream and I yell, you guys know. I mean, I get upset sometimes and show my emotion and stuff like that. But I really just I wasn't that upset about the whole situation. It's the first inning, you know. So.
It seemed like that set the tone, set the tone for a weird night, because it was like just the whole night. You watched the game from here, but just a weird night here because obviously you guys weren't able to produce a lot of runs, but also just kind of quirky things happening. Did you kind of feel that way about the game?
Not too much. It kind of just happened, and you know, team got ahead 2-0, and you know, weren't able to hold the lead.
Did it sink in at all? And it's kind of strange that this is the second game in a row at Coors that you've gotten ejected. Is it just kind of random?
I didn't even think about that. Didn't even really think about that at all.
Okay, I'm sorry. I just got really tickled at something he said. So he named a bunch of umpires that he's had conversations with. They're professionals, and he said, I guess 120 didn't like the conversation. 120 has a name. It's what?
120, not Brian Walsh. Not home plate umpire
I'm
Brian
sorry.
Walsh. It's 120.
He
The
named
number
like
on his
7
sleeve.
people.
120.
He named 7 people. He was like, 120 didn't like the conversation. Bryce Harper never changed.
That's like
amazing.
if you had 4 kids, the last one you say, hey, number 4, get over here.
Number 4. I'm sorry. That's just so great. He called it
And
120.
he didn't even like break stride.
No, he didn't.
He just said number 120, like it was like everyone calls him 120.
Exactly. Like that's his name. Okay, we have to get this show back on the rails, and we're going to take our Eye on the Mound, brought to you by PGW. It is not brought to you by 120. It's brought to you by PGW. Christopher Sanchez, really good night. You heard Corey Simon asking Topper there about his velocity. It's something Corey mentioned in the pregame show, how it had kind of been up there and stayed up there. And he looked pretty good tonight. Got hit, but didn't get punished for it.
He did, Amy. You grab yourself a tissue. I'll go over these numbers. Christopher Sanchez poured him in there for number 120 to take a better look at tonight. 5 1/3, 7 hits, 1 earned run, the 1 walk, just 2 Ks, but 83 pitches, 55 strikes. He was predominantly changeup, 2-seamer. Did throw a handful of sliders as well, but loved the velocity, loved the changeup. 3.15 ERA in his 10 starts this season. He's been outstanding, able to keep the ball down. 10 groundouts, 2 fly balls, 2 Ks. But
Yeah.
10 groundouts, that is phenomenal at that ballpark.
It was especially after he had gotten a couple of guys that got hits on him and that they never came home. They were maybe a double, a single, and then he got the ground outs. I'm sorry, it's 120. It's going to get me for a while.